All right, welcome back to our virtual class. This is Mr. Von Ah, and we're doing a little bit of geometry that will help us pass a lot of different tests, especially the GED, the HiSET. So I'm glad you're on board. Remember, in the description of this video, I have a link to the notes to this lecture. It has a formula sheet and all kinds of other goodies. So make sure you go there and get that. It'd be good if you had it before you even watched the video. All right, so hey, we're going to learn how to calculate the surface area and the volume of cylinders. All right, so what's a cylinder? Well, there's a cylinder, right? If you think of a Coke can or a glass jar, right? Anything that's got two identical circles on the top and bottom, that's a cylinder. All right, they're all over the place. All right, so I'm going to give you kind of a word problem here, kind of a scenario. And again, this is on the notes in the description that you can have access to. Okay, it says this. The metal container, pictured here, needs to be painted. All right? If 1 gallon of paint covers 68 square feet, so 1 gallon of paint will cover 68 square feet of metal. All right? How many gallons of paint will be needed? All right, so that's a pretty, applicable situation here. You can know how much paint am I going to need? All right, well, in order to paint this, I need to know what the surface area is. Okay, remember the surface area is just the area of all the external surfaces. We're not going to paint the inside of this thing, just the outside. All right, so the first thing I need to know is, okay, what's the surface area of a cylinder? What's the surface area? I'll just call that SA of a cylinder. All right, well, I have it all for you on the formula sheet, but just so you kind of know where we get it from, if you take a look at this cylinder, really you have two circles, don't you? See how you have a top circle and a bottom circle? And I don't know if you know, but the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi r squared. That's for one circle. We have two circles though, so I'm going to multiply that by 2. All right, so that takes care of the two bases, right, the circles. But what about this part in the middle here? How do I find that surface area? Well, to kind of help you visualize that, I'm going to make a little cylinder. There's a cylinder, right? So as you can see, it's got a top and it's got a bottom, and they're both circles, approximately in this case. But what about all of this surface area that needs to be painted? How do I find that surface area? Well, watch this magic trick. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this cylinder and watch what happens. I'm just gonna unfold it and it becomes a, ta-da, just a rectangle. That's all a cylinder is a rolled up rectangle, right? That's all it is. So if I knew this length and this width, or this length and this width, I would know the area of that rectangle, right? It's just length times width. Okay, so what is the length of this? What's the length of that? Well, it's just the height, right? Which in this case is 7. So I'm going to add the height. I'm going to put that over here because we're going to put something else there. Okay, so I need the height, but I also need this width here. And I want you to see, when I fold that up, that width just becomes the distance around that circle. We call that the circumference. Okay, so the width is just the circumference of that circle. I don't know if you can see that. So do you know what the formula for the circumference of a circle is? It's 2 pi r. So 2 pi r. So right? So 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h is going to be give me the surface area of my cylinder. This is on the notes, on the formula sheet, but it's good to kind of know how to recreate it in case you forget the formula or you don't have access to it. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out the surface area of this cylinder because we want to paint it. All right, so let's just kind of substitute some values in here. All right, 2 is always going to be 2, that's a constant. Pi is just approximately 3.14, but we'll leave it as pi for right now. R stands for radius. Radius is just halfway across the circle. Okay, what's the radius of this circle? What's the radius? Well, that would be, the radius is half, the diameter is 12. Therefore, the radius would be 6. So I'm going to multiply that by 6 squared plus 2 pi r. Once again, r is 6. H, for this cylinder, the height is 7. 7 feet. All right, so I just substitute my values. Now I just got to crank out these numbers. All right, so I have first, I got to know my order of operations. Do I multiply first, or do I use the exponent? All right, exponents come before multiplying. So 6 times 6 is 36. And by the way, well, I'll just go ahead and write it all out. How about that? Instead of taking shortcuts. 6 times 7 is 42. All right? Okay, now I can multiply these two guys, right? It doesn't matter with the multiplication, the order doesn't matter. 2 times 36 is 72. So I have 72 pi plus 2 times 42 is 84. 84 pi. Okay, now I could do some fancy things in here with factoring. I could factor out a pi, but just to keep it simple, I won't do that. All right, so let's go ahead and use our calculator. 72 times pi, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find the rest, see if you can find the surface area at this point. All right, I'm back. I had to go get my calculator. All right, so let's go ahead and figure that out. 72 pi times pi. All right, and plus 84 pi. I get about 490, right? I'm just going to round it. Okay, so 490 is my total surface area, and that is in, well, we're dealing with feet here, right? So that would be feet squared. Feet squared. All right, so there's my surface area. Okay, now let's see what what they're asking. If 1 gallon of paint covers 68 square feet of metal, how many gallons of paint will be needed? All right, so if 1 gallon gives me 68 square feet, how many gallons will I need for 490 feet squared? This is a great opportunity to use a proportion, right? And here's how I do it. I just set up 2 equivalent ratios. Okay, here's my first ratio right here. 1 gallon gives me 68 square feet, right? Notice I put my units in there, very important. And that's going to equal, if I got gallons over square feet, and I'm saying there's equal, I got to put gallons over square feet over here too. If 1 gallon gives me 68 square feet, how many gallons will I need for 490 square feet? See the proportionality there? Okay, now I can simply solve for x and figure out how many gallons I need. The way I solve a proportion is by cross multiplying. All right, so I get 68 times x. 68 times x, I'll just bring it over here, is 68x. And 1 times 490, of course, is 490. All right, now to solve for x, I simply divide by 68 to both sides. That's going to reduce to 1, leaving me with just a 1x, or x, equals 490 divided by 68. Just going to use my calculator here. Is about, a squiggly equal sign means approximately equal to 7.2. 7.2 what? Gallons. All right, so gotta be careful here because, I mean, if you're doing this for real, you're not going to buy 0.2 gallons, 7 gallons, and then, hey, a guy behind the counter, can you give me 0.2 gallons? He's like, well, we don't sell 0.2 gallons. You could get a quart, but likely you're probably just going to get 8 gallons of paint, right? So you have some leftovers, okay? But that's pretty close to exact how many gallons you will need to paint this cylinder. All right, so that was part A. Okay, part B. Once painted, if it is to be used as a water storage container, all right, they're going to store water in this. How many cubic feet of water will it hold? Ooh, cubic feet. Cubic feet is a measure of volume. So they're basically asking me, what is the volume of this cylinder? Okay, well, I would need to know what the formula for the volume of a cylinder is. Go ahead and use a different color here. Well, remember the volume is just going to be, just pretend like if you put a coat of water there, that's the air, and that forms the area of that circle, right? And if you just continue to put that same area and you stacked it on top of each other, eventually you get all the way to the top, right? So if we took the area of our base and multiplied it by our height, we'd get the volume of this cylinder. All right, so what's the area of my base? Well, the area is, for a circle, is pi r squared. So that would be pi r squared, and then h. All right, pi r squared is just the area of any circle. All right, so let's go ahead and substitute some numbers in now. I got pi, which is a constant. R again was what, 6, half of 12? So times 6, that's squared, times h, the height is 7. All right. Now, order of operations, we got to do the exponents first. 6 times 6, 36, pi times 7. I kind of put them out of order, but the order doesn't matter when you're multiplying, right? 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3. All right, so I got 36 pi, or I can do 36 times 7. I'm going to go ahead and do 36 times 7 first. So 36 times 7, it's nice to do pi last. It's 252. 252, all right. So I get 252 pi. All right, let's see, what's 252 times pi? Times pi is about, I'm going to round it. They're probably going to ask you, hey, round to the nearest tenth or round to the nearest whole number. We're going to round to the nearest whole number. This is about 792. 792. 792, and that is the volume. And that is in, well, feet cubed, right? Because feet times feet is feet squared, and feet squared times feet is feet cubed. And there's our volume, 790 cubic feet. All right, we're almost done. This is a very comprehensive problem. All right, so you probably don't know how big 792 cubic feet is, but I bet you it'd make more sense if it was in gallons. So let's go ahead and turn that into gallons. All right, so the volume is 792 cubic feet. And let's take a look. 1 cubic foot is approximately equal to 7.5 gallons. All right, so if 1 cubic feet is about 7.5 gallons, how many gallons is in 792 cubic feet? Sound familiar? Pause the video and see if you can figure it out. How many gallons is 792 cubic feet? All right, let's see if you got your right answer. This is a proportion problem, right? Here's my first ratio. 1 cubic foot, get a better color here. 1 cubic foot is equivalent to 7.5 gallons, more or less. Notice again, I put my units. Now notice again, I'm going to be consistent with my units. By the way, I could have put gallons over cubic feet as long as I put gallons over cubic feet over here. Okay, so I know that I have 792 cubic feet, and I know it's going to go right here because I have my units shown. So 792, and that's going to be how many gallons? Well, that's the question. How many gallons does this thing hold? We're about to find out. All right, so again, we cross multiply. So 1 times x is 1x, or just x. 7.5 times 792. I need a table over here or something. And 7.5 is about, well, let me go ahead and 792 times 7.5. I get about 5940. Okay, that's an approximation. 5940. And that is in gallons. So this thing holds 5,940 gallons. All right? So we learned how to use proportions. We learned how to find surface area of cylinders. We learned how to find the volume of cylinders. And we also saw that, hey, we could actually use this stuff in real life. All right? So, hey, I hope this was helpful to you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can get notified of any new videos that I make. All right? Until next time, may God richly bless you.